Janvi had always believed that some people are meant to enter your life like sudden sunlight, unexpected, warm, and slowly turning into something you begin to rely on. For her, that sunlight had been Arin. She met him at the age of 15, when life still felt like an open book waiting to be written. He was quiet, focused, and distant, the type of person who always seemed to be searching for something only he could see. Yet every time he spoke, even casually, Janvi felt as if she understood him more than he understood himself. At first, her feelings were small, like ripples on a still pond. But as the years passed, they grew into waves that touched every part of her days. She didn't confess. She didn't want to ruin the friendship. She didn't want him to feel pressured. Instead, she stayed beside him, offering support, encouragement, and a steady presence he could always count on. 7 years passed like this. 7 years of silent love, quiet patience, and hope that one day Arin would finally turn and see what she had felt for so long. But Arin never looked. He cared for her, yes. But it was the care you carry for a good friend. The kind you assume will always stay no matter how much you take it for granted. He had dreams of his own career goals, ambitions far bigger than their small town, and he poured himself fully into them. He often said he didn't have time for distractions, but Janvi had never wanted to be one. She simply wanted to be seen. Yet every year, every season, every memory reminded her that she wasn't. Arin would call her when he needed advice. He would share his achievements, ask for her help polishing a presentation, or talk about his frustrations. And Janvi would listen, always listening, always giving. Never receiving. Sometimes she wondered if he even noticed the way her voice softened whenever he spoke, or the way her eyes brightened when he walked into a room. She wondered if he ever saw how deeply she cared. But he never did. The turning came unexpectedly on a rainy evening in early winter. Arin had received a major job opportunity in a city far away, something he had dreamed of for years. He called Janvi immediately, excitement bursting through every word. She listened, smiling softly, genuinely happy for him, even though her heart felt strangely heavier with each passing second. When he finished speaking, she congratulated him, giving him the warmth and encouragement she always did. Then he said something that stung more than she expected. "You're the best friend anyone could ask for. I don't think I could have reached this point without you. And I know you'll always be there, no matter where I go." It wasn't the words, it was the assumption, the quiet belief that she would always wait, always stay, always give. That night, after the call ended, Janvi realized something heartbreaking yet freeing. She had spent 7 years loving someone who didn't see her, not because he didn't care, but because he never imagined she could walk away. She had made herself too available. Her love had become invisible simply because it was always there. The next morning, she woke up with a calm clarity she had never felt before. She didn't cry, she didn't regret. Instead, she felt something inside her shift, something small but powerful, like a door finally opening. She decided she would stop pouring her heart into a place where nothing grew. She would stop being the person who always stayed. So she left, not dramatically, not angrily. She simply stepped back. She stopped replying immediately. She stopped rearranging her plans to help him. She stopped reaching out just to check on him. She stopped giving parts of herself to someone who never realized they were gifts. In those first days, Arin didn't notice. He was busy preparing for his new job, lost in the excitement of change. Janvi was proud of him quietly, from a distance where her feelings could no longer harm her. She focused on herself, something she hadn't done in years. She began writing again, a hobby she had forgotten she loved. She started attending workshops, meeting new people, and slowly rediscovering who she was outside of her attachment to Arin. By the second week, Arin finally sensed the difference. He sent a short message, "Hey, you're quiet these days. Everything okay?" Janvi saw it. She smiled softly, not with bitterness, but with peace. She replied gently, telling him she was fine and just busy with things of her own. It wasn't a lie, she truly was busy, building a life that didn't revolve around him anymore. Arin didn't question it, not yet. But as the days stretched into weeks, something unexpected happened. Arin began missing her presence. Her silence wasn't cold, but it was distant, something he wasn't used to feeling from her. He realized how deeply he had relied on her without ever acknowledging it. He wanted to share things with her, a new project, a compliment from his boss, a moment of frustration. But she didn't respond with the same energy anymore. She wasn't rude, just different. One evening, he called. Janvi let it ring, not out of pettiness, but because she was in the middle of something important for herself and didn't want to drop everything the way she used to. Later, she texted him politely. "Oh, sorry, I was busy. Hope everything's okay." It was the first time she had ever told him she was busy. For the first time, Arin felt a faint ache. Weeks later, he returned to their town for a short visit. He had assumed they would meet the way they always did, spending hours talking, laughing, catching up. But Janvi didn't assume anything anymore. When Arin called to ask if she was free to meet, she said she'd have to check her schedule. Not out of revenge, but because she truly had plans now. When they finally met at a quiet cafe, Arin immediately sensed a change he couldn't explain. Janvi looked the same, yet somehow different, more confident, more grounded. More herself. Her smile was gentle, but not the one she reserved only for him. Her eyes weren't searching for his approval anymore. She wasn't leaning in. She wasn't hoping. He felt something uncomfortable rise inside him. They talked, but the conversation felt unfamiliar. She wasn't hanging on his every word. She wasn't filling silences with warmth. She wasn't centering him in every question. She was simply present, calm, composed, and emotionally independent. For the first time in 7 years, Arin felt what it was like to be on the outside of her world instead of the center. When he left the cafe that evening, he couldn't shake the strange heaviness inside him. He missed something he had never appreciated. He missed the effortless way she used to care. He missed the warmth she always gave without being asked. He missed the version of her that loved him quietly and constantly, and he realized with a dull achy that he had taken that version of her for granted. Days passed. Arin found himself thinking about her more often than he expected, not because he wanted to be with her romantically, but because he had never understood her true value until she stopped offering it freely. He found himself replaying their memories, moments he had dismissed as normal but were actually expressions of her silent love. Every time she encouraged him, every time she listened without judgment, every time she supported him without expecting anything. 7 years of unreturned affection, he felt the weight of it all. One evening he called her again, not for help, not for comfort, but simply because he wanted to hear her voice. She answered politely, but the emotion he was used to hearing was gone. It was like speaking to someone who had healed from him. "Are we okay?" he finally asked. Janvi paused, realizing this moment had been coming for a long time. She wasn't angry at him. She wasn't bitter. She simply understood things now, things she hadn't understood while she was busy loving him. "We're fine," she said gently. "We just grew up, but you feel distant." She took a calm breath. "I spent years giving everything to someone who never needed it. Now I'm learning to give to myself." "I never meant to hurt you," he whispered. "I know," she said softly. "But intention isn't the only thing that matters." There was silence, quiet, heavy, honest. Arin wanted to ask if she still cared for him the way she used to. But the answer was already clear. She didn't. Not because she was angry, but because she had grown beyond waiting for a love that would never come. And that was the moment Arin felt true regret, not dramatic, not desperate, but deep and real. He hadn't lost her love. He had simply never earned it. He had lived 7 years believing she would never leave. And by the time he realized her value, she had already learned to value herself more. Months passed. Janvi continued growing, building her dreams, forming new connections. She didn't shut Arin out completely. She simply placed him in a part of her life where he could no longer hurt her. A respectful distance, a gentle boundary. Arin, on the other hand, carried the quiet regret of someone who understood too late. He remained her friend, supporting her from afar, grateful for the chance to still be in her life, even if it wasn't in the way he once assumed. He never confessed anything because he knew his regret wasn't love. It was realization, and Janvi never looked back with longing because her healing wasn't revenge, it was self-respect. In the end, Janvi didn't leave Arin to make him regret. She left to find herself. The regret was just the echo of someone finally seeing what they had never appreciated. And sometimes that silent echo is the loudest lesson life can teach.